Good morning and welcome to the Anthony Petitti Organic Gardening Show. Thank you so much for getting up early and being with us. And we have a guest with us today. We have Tim from Bull Country Compost. Welcome. Good morning, Tim.
Thank you for having me here.
Well, great. We appreciate you all getting up early on the 4th of July weekend. So we're going to go ahead and get into the show, and we will open it like we normally do with a word of prayer. Father, we just come before you, and we thank you for your goodness and your grace this week. Father, we just ask that you use our show to help someone, teach someone to take care of the things that you have given us. We just thank you again for all of your blessings, Father, and we just ask this in your precious and your holy name. Amen. Well, Tim, it is wonderful to have you back on the show with us again, and it's been a while since you've been able to be here. And so we are at the 4th of July weekend. We're in the midst of the season. And so how has it been so far? Like our May season was crazy busy, and I'm sure you must have been too. So everything was busy for you?
Yeah, everything was busy through the heavy growing season, and things are starting to slow down a little bit now.
Yeah, it's a sort of a little sigh of relief, I know. But we'll start picking back up again with all of those gardeners that want to prep their garden for next year in another couple months.
Yes, that's right.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. We noticed that, September, people start harvesting, and then they start thinking, I need to start preparing my soil again for next year. And a lot of times they want to add the compost in the fall. And that is a great time to do that.
Yes, actually, that's the best time to put the compost on the ground to let it winter in over the winter, and that way it's ready to go in the spring.
Right. So we've had a couple questions that people have asked us. So I'm going to ask you, and hopefully you can clarify this. Okay. So people ask me, if I put my compost on in the fall and then I want to put a cover crop on, is that okay to do my cover crop right on top of my Bull Country compost, or should I till it in before I put my cover crop on?
Best thing to do would be to till it in and then put the cover crop on.
And put the cover crop on. And then that cover crop is just going to be tilled back into the soil again in the spring. And they don't need to add Bull Country compost again in the spring. That cover crop decomposing in the soil is going to be good enough next year if they put the Bull Country on this fall.
Correct. That would be suffice for
Right.
what you need to do next spring.
Right. And if they don't put Bull Country on this fall and they plant a cover crop, should they put their Bull Country compost on in the spring and then till it in with their cover crop when they till in their cover crop?
Yeah, that's probably what I would do. That way it incorporates everything in the soil all at the same time.
Right. So there is a lot of other things going on at Bull Country Compost. And you have been OMRI certified. And so that is wonderful. And a lot of our customers doesn't know about that type of certification. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about how that happened and maybe why you decided to go ahead and be OMRI certified?
It just happened because we do have a lot of interest on organic people that are certified organic growers. And we knew we had a product that would fit well into that market, so we got the OMRI certification and went from there.
And so what did that entail for you guys to go through that process to get that certification?
It requires a lot of extra testing, stuff like that they need to do. I mean, we do test our stuff for EPA reasons, to be on the EPA, to have all of our stuff on that respect, but for OMRI requires a lot more testing, more in-depth testing. That way they make sure that there's it's all organic, no chemicals, stuff like that.
Right. So they test the product itself to make sure that there's no chemical levels in there.
Correct.
Yeah, that's incredible. So if you are looking for a product that is certified organic in the gardening realm, it's called OMRI. Do you know what OMRI? It's escaping me.
Organics Material Review Institute.
So that's what the OMI or ORMI stands for, and it does require a lot more. So if you are someone that looks for that certification when you are maybe the organic symbol when you're buying food products. Well, the OMRI symbol is what you're looking for when you're buying things in the gardening industry. Fertilizers, compost, even some insecticides and fungicides that are OMRI certified means that you can use those products and still be a certified organic grower. Some people have that misconception that you can't use any product at all if you want to have a certified organic product, and that's produce. But that isn't how it is. You can use products to control insects and diseases. They just have to be OMRI certified so that you still keep your organic certification when you're selling your product. So, Tim, you also came up with Hayseed Hank Super Soil. And I know a few years back you were on the show and explained how that came about. But why don't you tell us a little bit about Hayseed Hank? We love it at our place. We recommend it with every tree, every shrub that's purchased, to use that as their backfill instead of some of the awful soil that they're pulling out of the ground. And so tell us a little bit about Hayseed Hank and how that happened.
Hayseed Hank came about because we've had a lot of requests for types of soil to fill raised gardens. Mm-hmm. And so the compost is a little too rich to grow directly into, so we was looking to design a product that you could fill into raised gardening and go plant your stuff in it and go right to town with it.
Right then,
so
right.
That's how it came about, and then, of course, we found different uses for it, like you said about backfill around shrubs and trees. Also, you can also put lawns in with it too.
Exactly. So. Right. And we have recommended a lot of people, they want something that's going for their grass to germinate quickly. And, we say, Hayseed Hank is going to germinate much more quickly than other soils because it's got those nutrients in it. And since we're talking about lawns, I've got a little recipe for people when they're putting lawns in, to put the Hayseed Hank down, then they put their grass seed and then cover it with Bull Country compost instead of using straw. So they save a couple of other steps as well. They don't have to put a starter fertilizer on because the Bull Country compost will act as their fertilizer. But also the Bull Country compost, being dark, holds the heat from the day into the nighttime temperatures, keeping the soil warm, and then germination takes place more quickly. And then also it decomposes and they never have to rake it up like they would straw. So it's like it saves you steps and it saves you money because you're not getting in straw today costs as much as Bull Country compost does. Because some people, and back in the day, straw was cheap. And they were like, well, it's cheaper. I'm like, yeah, well, you still save money because you didn't have to buy the fertilizer. But now you're saving all the way around because a bale of straw is $9.
Exactly.
It's not like, and you get the same amount of coverage practically from one bag. So that's what our little recipe for, when you're doing lawns or, any type of, you take down a tree and you need to add soil and start new grass. That's our little recipe for, everyone to have that lawn start quickly and save them all those steps of cleaning up the straw.
Sounds like a good recipe.
I really like it too. It's worked out very, very well for us. And so what we're going to do, we're going to tell you a couple things going on at the store and go over some of our new hours. So we are having a 4th of July sale. It includes hanging baskets at 25% off. All of our flowering annual 4-inch pots and flats are buy one, get one. There are a couple exceptions, and those are noted in the greenhouse. And then we also have large vegetable plants, so some large pepper plants, cucumber plants, tomato plants that are in the deco containers. Those are all ready to go. We have pretty much given all of our vegetable plants in the flats away to different organizations that were planting community gardens or growing gardens for the food banks. So that's pretty much all done. Also, we want to let everyone know our hours are changing. Monday through Friday stays the same, 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Saturdays are the same, 8 a.m. till 4 p.m., but we are not open on Sundays any longer. So last Sunday was our last Sunday open, and so tomorrow will be our first day closed since Easter. And so this is a great thing. All I have to do is go in and water tomorrow. So that'll be sort of nice. But you all have a great time with your family celebrating on the 4th. But just to let you know, there will be no Sunday hours again until December when we're selling Christmas trees. And we'll open back up on Sundays then. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, and Saturdays from 8 to 4. Now, if you have questions that you might want to ask Tim or myself about gardening or Bull Country Compost or Hayseed Hank, you can always do that at our store at 5828 Columbus Road. We're right there on the corner of Columbus Road and Broadway. You can come on into the store and ask your questions. You can email me your questions at Cindy Petitti, CindyPetitti @gmail.com. You can Facebook message your questions to us at Anthony Petitti Organic Greenhouse. Click the little message button and do it that way. Or, you can give us a call at 330-455-5997. So, Tim, why don't you let everyone know how they could, what is the best way if someone has a question about your product, how do you like them to have them answered? Do you like them to call us, or do you have a website that they can go to or a Facebook page that they can go to ask you those questions?
We do have a Facebook page or website, either one. They can respond to, we can respond to questions coming in that way, or they can call us direct.
Okay, so how would they do that? What is your website?
Website would be bullcountrycompost.com, and then the Facebook page is Bull Country Compost also, and then the telephone number would be 330-852-4399. Okay,
so do you have a lot of people, or is it people like me that call and say, I have a customer that has a question? How do you have a lot of people that call you directly with their questions?
I do. It's probably about 50% of my wholesalers, and then also individual people that call with questions on what to do and how to do it, stuff like that.
And so do you guys do retail from your facility as well?
We do some. We don't do a whole lot.
You don't do a whole lot. Because having people just come in with a pickup and get 1 yard is probably...
Well, and plus my location, I'm kind of out in the country in a rural area.
You are out in the country. So. You are out in the country. That's very true. But I have noticed on the MLS listings, there's a lot of houses in Dundee for sale. I could not believe how many houses that popped up on my MLS listings in Dundee. I was like, hey, Dundee is moving on up.
We are, and there's a lot of new buildings going up, and the way there is too. So
yeah, it's incredible. I was really, really surprised that there was that many. We had a couple questions this week that we're going to answer, but we are going to take our break and hear from our sponsors, Bull Country Compost and Habitat for Humanity. So this is when I usually say, you know how much I love it. Now you're going to hear from Tim telling you all about Bull Country Compost, and we take our short break, and they tell us what's going on at Habitat as well. So we are going to take our short break, hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. And again, thank you for getting up early and being with us on this 4th of July weekend. We have Tim from Bull Country Compost with us today, answering questions that many of you have asked me or have asked Tim about Bull Country Compost. And if you haven't heard Tim before, we're going to have him in the last segment of our show here tell us a little bit about how Bull Country Compost got started and how it came about. You were dairy farmers.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about how and why you started Bull Country Compost, and how long has that been now?
We've been composting now for 27 years.
27 years.
And we got started basically as a environmental resource to recycle our manure because we didn't have enough ground to spread it on. So we needed to find something to do with the manure to either move it off the farm or market it in that way, that's the avenue we ended up going down.
Right.
So basically it was just we had a surplus of manure, not enough ground to put it on, so we started composting.
And so what else is added to Bull Country Compost besides manure?
Usually it's anything that we bed the animals with, which is 90% sawdust, 90% of the time. There is some straw in there. If you're into animals, straw, sawdust, corn fodder. We have used bean fodder before for bedding purposes. So any type of organic matter that can soak up moisture for the
Sure.
animals.
So, what is this process like from the time that it is taken out of the barn to the time it lands in a bag? What's the process?
Well, it comes out of the barn, and we use it, and we have in-vessel composting. We put it
Explain in-vessel composting.
in-vessel composting is a bin that holds a specified amount of manure. It has an aerated floor in it to be able to force air into the floor, and that air feeds the microbes that are naturally occurring in the manure, so they work faster and hotter, and the heat gets rid of the harmful bacteria, pathogens, and weed seeds, and then also then breaks down the nutrient content of the raw manure to a more stable product that can be marketed and sold. And that process from start to finish roughly takes about a year, and the manure on average is handled 7 times before it goes down the road on sale.
Oh my gosh! Before it's bagged and
Before it's bagged or
and ready
put
to
on
go.
a truck, it usually gets handled 7 times
wow,
before it gets
right?
sold.
That's incredible. So, how hot does that get in there? Do you like have to temperature check it? Right?
Yeah, we have thermometers on all the vessels, and we like to get them to at least 160 degrees, and we maintain 160 degrees for 4 weeks.
For 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then does it move to a different?
Yeah,
bin?
we're in an active composting vessel for 4 to 6 weeks. That depends on what type of material went in, of how long it's going to take, and then it comes out of there, and then it goes into what we call our storage sheds, our curing sheds, and then that's where it'll sit for 6 to 8 months, where it just
Wow.
kind of like sits and just finishes out. You know, it's not actively composting anymore. There's no air being added to it. It just
Right.
sits in what they call curing.
Curing, right?
And it just cures out for about 6 to 8 months.
Right. So, how many of these aerated bins do you have?
We have 10 now.
You have 10. Wow.
But
And you started with one.
yeah,
Started with one.
one quickly became 2, 2 quickly became 4, and then there was kind of a lull, and then all of a sudden, then sales picked up, and then so we needed to get a few more in.
Right. And then how many of the curing bins? Or the curing
We have 3 curing sheds.
sheds.
But-
And how big are these sheds?
Well, that's the curing sheds. The composting vessels are only like 14 feet wide and 130 feet long. The curing sheds are 72 feet wide and 200 feet long.
Wow. So this is like that takes up a lot of area.
Right.
Yeah.
And basically, I'm composting now for next year.
Right, of course.
You know,
right.
I've got to have enough stockpile for 1 full year of sales
Exactly.
sitting on the ground before it ever happens.
So I know a lot of people are thinking, and I know the answer to this question, but how many cows do you have to produce this much manure?
A lot.
A lot. So, but you get manure from some other farmers now.
Yes, we do.
Right, exactly, because you aren't milking like 1,500 head of cattle.
No. No, not at all.
Right. So, are you still milking at all now?
Unfortunately, we have quit milking now, and we're just raising replacement heifers and some beef steers.
And beef's there.
So
Yeah. So your dad was involved in the farm.
yes,
As a farmer, as the milking farm.
Right.
So was that hard on him?
yeah, it was hard for him to give up the milking.
Giving
but
up,
We
yeah.
milked cows for 43 years. So yeah, it was hard for him to give it up.
Exactly. I know other dairy farmers, and and I have some friends right now, and they stopped milking in May. And they have milked for like 40 years. And he is like, I don't know what to do with myself now. I have been so used to getting up every day, and milking 2 or 3 times a day. They used to do 2 times, and then they went to 3 times, and he's like, I don't know what to do with myself anymore. And so I can imagine, your dad.
We quit milking 6 years ago now, and it took him at least 3 to 4 years to get out of that routine.
Right.
But he's out of it now, and he wouldn't go back.
And he wouldn't go back. Right. But he still loves the farm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. And he helps with Bull Country Compost now.
Yes.
Right. But he's probably like stepping back a little bit. He's probably retired a little bit.
Yeah, he's semi-retired. He's 78, so
Well, he should be semi-retired.
He's done his years.
Exactly. But it's nice to be able to let him work when he wants to, you know.
True, yeah.
Exactly.
And he needs
keeps him,
that.
Exactly. I was going to say it probably keeps him going. Exactly, right. Because it's a great product, and he has to be so very proud of you that, you know, you have turned a dairy farm that, as time was going on, was not making any money.
Yeah,
the
dairy business wasn't making any money.
And you just kept doing it because that's what you had done for 40 years.
Exactly.
You know, and so to be able to turn that around and have a wonderful, successful business is just such a blessing. I'm sure to see you turn that into this type of a business. You know, I'm sure that that's wonderful for them. And you have a son.
I do.
And is he like? Are you grooming him to come into the business?
It's in the works.
Uh-huh.
He's got a few other little interests right now, but it's in the works. So.
Well, let's hopefully that you know, so many kids doesn't want to follow in their parents' footsteps in any agriculture business, you know, because it's a lot of work, you know, and so it's always encouraging when you can find children that really, you know, still want to do that kind of thing.
Oh, it is, because it's a dying breed.
Right.
And
right.
it's hard to get people back in it.
Exactly. How old is your son?
22.
Oh, my word. Here I was thinking he must be at least 16 or 17 now. 22. Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Time flies. It really does. Well, so if you had to do it all over again, Tim, would you do it again?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. It's been a very rewarding experience to grow this business from the ground up.
Right.
And yes, there's a lot of growing pains at times, and they can be quite frustrating, but I like a good challenge, so
right.
I work through them.
Exactly. Yeah, finding good help is always a challenge. We all know that in our industry. Hopefully things are going to change soon, and people will want to come back to work, and that's what we're all hoping for.
Yes, that's for sure.
All right. Well, we want to go ahead and answer a couple questions that were asked at the store this week. First was about trimming back their lilacs, and yes, this is a good time to trim your lilacs, actually. If your lilacs finished up blooming in May and you haven't trimmed them yet, this is the perfect time. Any of your flowering shrubs, it's a good time to trim them within 6 to 8 weeks after they're finished blooming. So this is the time to go ahead and do your lilacs. If you don't want to take down any size, you can just trim off just the flower. But if you want to take down some size, you can do that right at the same time. So you can go back and trim them back. Remember, you never want to trim more than 1/3 the total size of the plant at one time so that it doesn't shock the plant. But it is a good time to go ahead and get that done. And then the next question was sort of about trimming also, and it was about your perennial lilies. If you have Asiatic lilies and they have finished up blooming in the last week or 10 days, you only want to trim off just the flower. You don't want to trim it back all the way because photosynthesis needs to take place to feed the bulb, and that green leafy tissue needs to be there for that photosynthesis to take place. So only trim back the flower head where the petals has fallen off and you have that piece sticking up there that's not attractive. You can go ahead and trim that off. Or if you have one of the branches that has sort of fallen in the wind or something like that, you can trim those off. But you want to leave the ones that are standing erect so that they will get that contact with the sun and that you will have that photosynthesis taking place. The other question that we had was, I didn't fertilize my flowers or my shrubbery in the springtime. Can I still do it now? And yes, you can. It's not going to hurt if you are using an organic product. But if you haven't and you just want to wait till fall, you can do that as well. If what might make your decision, if it's already flowered, I would probably wait till fall. If it hasn't flowered yet, so maybe it's a hydrangea or a spirea, or a Weigelia that hasn't flowered yet, then I would probably go ahead and fertilize now and then again in like late October. But if it has already flowered, you might as well just wait till fall, and then you'll be able to go ahead and get that all all fertilized all at one time. And also, back to Bull Country Compost, if you are mulching still, and I have a customer that's doing this right now, and it just reminded me, she always mulches mid-season. She doesn't mulch early in the season, but she mulches all of her beds with Bull Country Compost. That will also act as a great fertilization. So it is going to be a twofer there. You can use it as the mulch, and it's finer and shredded a little thinner than regular wood mulch is.
Correct.
So it's better for around your flowers. So if you have annual flowers or perennial flowers that are herbaceous, and the wood mulch is a little rough on their stems, the Bull Country Compost works very, very well as the mulch around those type of plants, and that it's going to act as your fertilization as well as your mulch. So you don't need to do an additional fertilization if you are using Bull Country Compost as your mulch. You have it all there at one time. So, Tim, we appreciate you coming on the show again. Again, if anybody has questions for you, what's your phone number so that they can contact you directly?
Business line would be 330-852-4399.
All right. Or if you have questions about Bull Country Compost, you can always give us a call at the store at 330-455-5997. Thank you so much for being with us, and have a wonderful, blessed 4th of July. Thanks. We'll see you next week right here on the Light 95.9 at 8 a.m.